Hello, ladies, gents, and others. It is Friday afternoon or Friday evening. It is time for the Gin and Tonic Show. We are a group of people who talk about Islam, and we help Muslims and non Muslims alike to understand and handle Islam today in the 21st century. So we address Islam, we inspect, investigate, analyze, research, and then we report and critique facts. We don't attack, and we've talked about the word attack and defined it and show that we don't do that. And definitely we don't attack people, but we show facts and the reality of Islam. And mostly it's the political Islam that we are criticizing. Now, the live stream goes to YouTube and Facebook, and you have three ways of participating: a written chat, join the panel, or watch the comment and the show afterwards. And anybody can join, comment, critique, contribute, or question. We focus on Islam and we focus on free speech. We are decent human beings. We let the Quran speak. And if you want to talk about Islam, come on over. Don't go to Patreon or PayPal. It's free. And what we do is we have an intro, some news, Quran segment, and then a discussion on the theme of the month, followed by integrating maybe the live chat, ending with the hadith of the week. And with that, I welcome the panel. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening, Stops and Thunderous, and good evening to all the viewers.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the show. Welcome to this evening's discussion, and hope you enjoyed the show this evening. Welcome to my co-hosts as well, Stops and Robs. Hi, guys.
And it's terrible that I have to say welcome, gentlemen, because it's always men talking about this. I don't know why that is. I don't know why it's usually men talking about religion and ideologies and not women. I have no idea why that is. Anyway, that's the way that the cookie crumbles, as they say. Okay, welcome to the chat where we have some people watching. If you want to participate, just go and type whatever you want to do. Have a conversation, ask question. If we have a chance, we'll take a peek. Then address whatever question that you have. What happened to my icon? No, it's Fred today. Fred is visiting, and this is what I thought. Actually, to take the honest truth, I forgot to change my login. And I see I've got a lot of messages from my appearances on SC Dawah who have like very boring topics at the moment, so there's nothing happening there, so it's not worth going there.
I thought you said it was this week where they're going to do something and there was interest tomorrow or something.
And it's not. They've changed it. It's something about what is it, Christianity or something? Does it lead to atheism? I don't know. It's
Christianity lead to atheism.
You look at this and you think, now come on, am I in the wrong movie, the wrong century, the wrong universe? What the fuck is happening? I don't know. This is so weird. Well, of course,
I wish they would do one on does Islam lead to atheism? And I think they're a resounding yes from all the ex-Muslims around the world.
It does. Yeah.
Yep.
Fred
and we have
like
one with us, so there we go.
Well, the thing is, if we look at this, I mean, all right, let's go and address this. I actually didn't want to really do, but everybody's talking about it at the moment because one of the lions of Islam, the one who's really fighting for Islam and everything by the name of Mo Hijab, he's lost the plot. He's totally gone over the brink. He's now he's had it. All right. I think the pressure was too much because I think it started with Cosmic Skeptic when he took him apart. Hijab didn't know what was going on, and then afterwards, and I think this is brilliant how he did not let go. Cosmic Skeptic went and showed Hijab even afterwards where he was dishonest, where he was wrong, where he got owned, where he did this, where he did this. And Hijab had no way of defending himself. So he went totally apeshit. And then what happened is somebody chatted with him, I can't remember who. Then this Yasakadi thing happened. And I think he has been heavily criticized by Muslims themselves. But
you also remember, Stops. Oh, sorry.
No, carry on.
You also remember that he put out the suggestion, is cosmic skeptic racist? That's like me putting out the suggestion, well, I don't know, but is Muhammad Hijab a pedophile? I don't know. I'm not saying
Yeah.
he is, but I'm just asking the question, is he a pedophile? That's like a leading question. Why would you ask that? You could ask that. You could ask a question of anybody about anything. Why would you specifically do that and then claim that you're not saying it? But I can do the same thing, right? The reductio ad absurdum is just to present another scenario that's exactly the same to reduce the person's, claim to absurdity, and that we could do exactly that. And so that was another thing, right? Because you're quite right. He had nothing substantial to say, and even his critique of the thing when he was doing it, like afterwards, like we critique it, was so weak. It was pathetic, right? At least you got time afterwards to think about it, to maybe come up with something that you can critique your interlocutor on because you've had the time to think about it. But even then, that was pathetic as well. So yeah.
And I hate thinking clearly, because I was just going to say this. As soon as Rob stops, I was going to say it's the same thing as if I asked, well, I hope that at the moment Hijab is not beating his wife. So this is also a leading question.
I don't
which
think he's married, is
insinuates-
he? Hopefully.
I don't know. I actually think he's gay, because the way he's touching men, the way he's very close to men and all that. I think he's actually a closeted gay. But who cares? The thing is that he's lost the plot. He's now going apeshit. He's going crazy. What happened then is that he single-handedly damaged Islam more, being a Muslim, being an apologist, than any ex-Muslim has done in the last 20 years. Because he has brought up a topic which has now made it abundantly clear that there is a problem, that there is a hole in the narrative in the Quran, that the Quran is not, it cannot be trusted, it is not reliable. And this is now the problem, that a lot of people are saying, yeah, but now we don't have this, this certainty anymore that there really is nothing wrong in the Quran. Now there are other people saying, yeah, but hang on, I heard that there's holes in the narrative. Even your own scholars are saying this. And there people, I think, are blaming him for having done so. What they did, and now this is making things even worse, because Hijab then deleted those 30 minutes. And now both of them have removed it completely. Now this is like I don't know, this is like an admission of guilt. This is like a confession where, oh shit, yes, it was wrong. Oh shit, there was something there. So let's quickly remove it. Let's hide the evidence. That makes it even worse.
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
I was just going to say, but the interesting thing is that they've put in something there on their internet website, then they've removed it, which is exactly which is interesting because in the past with other websites of other organizations that have said something about Islam, maybe even pro-Islam, or they've claimed it's pro-Islam, and then the website apparently removed it, and the Muslims have said that's an admission of guilt, or they've found something out, that's why they've hastily removed it, where then they've said that the most honest and decent thing to have done would have been to have left it on the website. Let's just say, for instance, for our argument's sake, it was one article I read several years ago about NASA claiming something about Muhammad and splitting of the moon, and don't know what the article was. However, they said it was an admission of they found something out and they don't want to promote Islam or whatever, so they removed it from the website. And their argument was, well, the best thing to have done, which would be leave it on there, that would have been less of a controversy than removing it, and an act of humility as well. If you said something by leaving it on there, it would have been the most honest thing for the Muslim world and the non-Muslim world to have seen. But by removing it, it's almost like, well, I think what they call it is the Barbra Streisand effect, where something happens, something Barbra Streisand once did or said, and it went unnoticed. Nobody noticed that she had said or done whatever this thing was.
Yeah, somebody to put a picture of her house somewhere that nobody noticed, and then she sued the person, and then this got into the media that she is suing somebody for just putting a photo of the house, and people said, what the hell is wrong with this woman? And this then made even larger waves, so everybody was then up in arms about her saying stupid things like that. So
whereas before, maybe something like about 30 or 40 people had noticed the photo or cared about the photo. She made a comment. Now several million are aware about it.
Yeah,
and this is the same thing here. Had they left the situation alone, it wouldn't have caused the drama that it has done as a result. I think that's
And
the
then
point.
last week, I think we showed what people are doing. I mean, that is absolutely childish. What this kid Farid is doing, that he says, well, it's the Kirat, and there's 7, and then he mixed himself up by saying, well, it's 7, it's 10, it's how many. They don't even know themselves what is going on anymore. They don't even know themselves the difference between, Kirat and Aruf and all these things. They don't even know themselves how many are still legal, or how many are being accepted in Islam, how many not, and where is the limit, and how many can we say, how many can we admit, how far can we go, where is the red line. There's so many things that are going wrong, and I think these are the things that hijab couldn't handle, because he couldn't do his normal, this clown show, this act that he puts on stage. So he couldn't get away with it, because now we have real questions, we have real, facts, data, pages, and then what Dr. Dan Brubaker is doing. I mean, that is fucking amazing, really, because he is now coming out every single week, bringing facts, bringing photos, bringing things. I have been there. I have seen these things. Here, this is the page here, and look, compare this to the Quran. Here's the Quran. Here's what it says here. Look at the difference. Where is the word Allah in this manuscript? It's missing. Somebody had to add it because it was not there. So this clearly shows that this is a mistake in the old version of a Quran, because the word Allah was missing. All right, so how clearer, how much more clear can it get? This is not a matter of just adding one letter or something like this. No, this is substantial. And this is something that we need to admit.
But do you think, though, when you're looking in the grand scheme of things, the 1.6 billion human beings that claim to be affiliates of the religion of Islam, that when you analyze the repercussions of this, we don't have the Quran that's in heaven. There are 31 plus and counting variations of Quranic recension. Do you really think that that's going to make a difference with all of the hype and chutzpah that's taking place now? For me, I think this is only going to affect real serious thinkers that are inside Islam, but the bulk of them, it's not going to affect them at all, because they're so wrapped up in the ideology that you can. Islam pretty much says what it does, and when you're questioning that you're following a man who had sex with a 9-year-old girl at the age of 54, that made claims about a person called Dulkarnain that built a brass-covered iron mountain, that says you can drink or eat food after a fly is thrown in it as long as you dip the whole fly. When you listen to these ludicrous claims, do you really think that the fact that they don't have an original Quran today is going to change the mind of such a mentality? I don't think it would. The ramifications should, but I don't think the ramifications would. That's where I stand on it. I hear what you're saying. You would think logic would dictate that it would divide and start seeping into Islam and destroying it. I personally don't think so. I think it may operate on the fringes of people who are thinkers in Islam, and it should motivate them. But the greater majority, no, not for me.
Oh, well, just look at them. They're shell-shocked. They're so out of it. They don't know what to do anymore. I see this all the time, that people simply are completely out and don't know what the hell to say now to somebody like me, who will say, okay, look, you've got a problem. They don't know how to respond. And then, of course, you get people like this Farid guy who says, nah, it's all okay, it's not so bad. Yeah, but he himself, he's tying himself up in contradictions, doesn't know what he's doing, he can't do anything. He's saying it's all the Kirat. Well, we're not talking about that. We're talking about real problems, real issues, real mistakes, real additions, real corrections, real omissions, real stuff in the texts themselves. And this is the problem that people, they simply can't handle. That's why I call it shell-shocked at the moment. So.
But if your premise, and I go back to one of my defaults, if your premise is a lie, all you can ever do is lie to defend it. So the Farids of this world and any other scholar or YouTube scholar, all they can offer is a lie to defend the lie. That's all. And so no wonder it's easy for people like you, myself, and other people to see through the lies. But the Muslims,
but it makes it a lot easier for us.
True. Not for the Muslim in the community, though.
Yeah,
You
but
know,
Thunder, look what is happening. Look at suddenly Ali Dawah is opening his mouth and saying, listen, they should all be killed.
yeah.
Hijab is totally snapped out of it and saying he's screaming, he's even spitting, he's so enraged that a Muslim will now come to him and say, I have doubts. He is going on the attack now against other Muslims and telling them, listen, you are pusillanimous. Anyway,
Pusillanimous.
anyway, he made a mistake in the pronunciation anyway, because I looked it up and I thought, no, come on, and he got it wrong, of course. But then he is now attacking other Muslims for doubting, and
that's
this is the
Islam, though.
problem. And now Adam Saleh is going and doing the same thing. I don't know if you remember Adam Saleh and his this tiff that he had with Amos Yee from Singapore. Has anybody heard this?
Not that one.
No, I don't remember.
Okay, Adam Saleh made a video where he attacked a guy, a civil rights activist, a satirist in Singapore. And I looked at this and I thought, Jesus, this Adam Saleh, who the fuck is this? And it turns out that this is just some guy, a kid who's putting YouTube pranks, and he's faking them, all right, to make them more and more outrageous. But he's got, I don't know, 1 million or 2 or something followers or something. So I thought, listen, you fucker, what the hell do you think you're doing? So I made a video, and then I set the record straight, and then I contacted Amos, and I said to him, listen, this is what I did. And he says, wow, that's brilliant. Okay, thank you very much. And then he propagated it, and this made huge waves at the time. And then I invited him on the Gin and Tonic show. We had him here, and we talked to him. And the thing is, his video, and I am surprised. I mean, my video today, if I were to put this up, I would be kicked off YouTube within 2 milliseconds. Because it is incredibly crude. YouTube would never allow me to put this video up today. But 10 years ago, I was able to do that. So this Adam Saleh is doing the same thing again that he did at the time, because he told his people, his followers, well, you know where the guy is and you know what to do, so I want everybody to go and do something about it, go and report him and do whatever you want. And this is what made me mad. And I said, how can this idiot, how can this fool, who is a nothing, a nobody, come and use his influence that he has over mindless, numb people to go and harm another person who simply made fun of the Quran and Islam? And he did it in such a brilliant way. I mean, I was in tears when I saw how this Amos guy is really sending up Islam, the way Alhamdulillah, the things that he does, how he mocks Muhammad, how he has sex with his 9-year-old wife. I mean, he's a satirist, okay? So you can imagine this is really, really, really amazing good stuff. Okay, and then now I see that this Saleh guy is doing the same thing again, using his influence to try and hurt people like apostate prophet, hurting people like Abdullah Samir. And this is amazing. And now Abdullah Samir says, listen, I had a good friend and I was there for him, and now he is like backbiting me like crazy. So he feels terrible. He feels like so betrayed by somebody he called a friend, somebody he helped out with. And then this guy goes and says, yeah, the Samir guy is an asshole. He's weak and look at he's emasculated and what an idiot. Anyway, so these are the reactions here again. This is what I'm seeing, and I'm seeing, my goodness, the fallout is amazing, and it's going to take years for this to blow over. I don't know if it ever will, because now people are really with their back against the ropes, and they don't know what to do anymore. And this is the typical reaction that you will get, this lashing out, regardless and uncoordinated, just as long as I hurt somebody, I don't care who. And of course, this doesn't work.
But are we noticing this?
Most Epic, sorry, so I'm just going to say Most Epic is actually making a huge point here. This is exactly what I'm talking about. These Dawah guys are raging while the Ummah is collapsing from the inside. This is exactly what I'm saying, is what I'm saying, okay, Islam is collapsing. and this is the earthquake that we are looking, which is there are cracks in the foundation, and I don't know if they're ever going to be able to patch them. So that's my opinion on this.
But is that this not only just taking place in Europe? Because I'm not hearing anything from any other country with reference to the comments and statements of the classic narrative having holes. This seems to be only a European American thing. It's not taking place anywhere else.
Okay, I'm hearing this from Australia. I'm hearing this from different countries. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, so this is now the the current scandal, which is all based on this. What we had last week, where we showed some of the reactions by this Farid guy, and come on, this is very easy. We could take one of these videos from Farid and discuss this every week and make fun of him and take it apart, because these are easy, really, what I call low-hanging fruits. I don't know why people. And I've taken some crazy comments from one of his videos later, so this is quite funny. But okay, any other comments on this? Questions, reactions?
But just the only comment I wanted to make was I noticed that Ali Dawah did put out that thing that all apostates should be killed. If this was in an Islamic state, then we would kill you for causing the mischief in the land by making other people doubt the faith. My argument's always been to that, because when I was a bit younger, obviously not in my 50s now, I don't have the body I did when I was in my 30s, would be, okay, that's what the Hadith teaches, but it does not teach that you have to live under a Sharia state to kill the person. It says, simply put, if a man leaves his religion, kill him. So I've always seen that the people living in the Western world that say, yeah, an apostate should be killed, their get-out clause for not killing anybody in the West is because the law of the land doesn't allow you to do that. Well, my argument is, well, okay, then, but which law is more important to you, the law of men or the law of Allah? Because if the law of Allah is more important to you, and Allah says that you have to listen to your prophet, and listening to your prophet is like listening to me, and Muhammad says you have to kill a person for leaving his religion, why have you not killed me yet?
Yeah.
So this clause of you have to live in an Islamic state, unless you can say anything different to me, Stops, I've never read anything in Islamic text that says it has to be in a Sharia state or a Muslim majority land where you have to go to some kind of tribunal as to whether the person. I think there was one situation where a person had to wait 3 days, but most of the text is if a man leaves his religion, kill him. There is no kind of appeal against that.
There is no narrowing down. Yeah. And this is I like this comment, okay? Gathering of the Islamophobes, also known as the gathering of those who are intolerant of Islam's intolerance. Actually, yeah, you're right. I am intolerant of Islam's intolerance because I cannot be tolerant of Islam's intolerance. So this is to that extent it is correct. The rest is wrong, but this part is correct. It is looks quite clever. So. And Thunder, by the way, what you said is that the hang on, what was my point now that I was going to make? Oh shit, I forgot. Because I thought this comment was so clever that I forgot my line of reasoning. Okay, then I'll forget it. Maybe it'll come back later. All right, then let's go to crazy comments. No, I don't want to upgrade for lifetime. There we go. So I need to do this and this, right? Or how did this work? No, I need to go.
Or just share your screen.
I need to go here like this. This is a comment on a video this Farid guy made on him destroying the career of, I can't remember whom. And now somebody in the comments, right? And then there is me destroying David Wood's career. I think he said, this is me destroying the Christian Prince or something like this. And of course he didn't. He's a kid. I mean, he's like, I don't know, 16 or something. He's got no clue what's going on. And he says, I've destroyed the career of so-and-so. And defending Islam says, and then there's me destroying David Wood's career and all invited to come. He doesn't
Utterly deluded, these people, huh? Utterly deluded. They'll tell themselves this, though, isn't it? Keep telling themselves, and hopefully, it's almost like they're trying to convince themselves first, and then the gullible followers second.
I thought this was funny.
I'll give an
Okay.
example. I'll give an example. I was communicating with a Muslim on a Muslim post recently. In fact, today. It started yesterday. And my usual default go-to point when trying to embarrass Muslims is to bring up Abdul Khalil in this giant brass-covered iron wall. And the response was, "Well, it's unseen. That's why we can't find it." And I turned around and said, "So I don't find anything in the Quran that says that the wall was invisible, that Allah made it invisible, or that iron as a commodity, a tangible object, is in itself invisible." And he turned around and says, "Are you a moron? I didn't say it was invisible. I said it was unseen." And I replied back saying, "Well, what's the difference between invisible and what's the difference between unseen then?" And he responded back by saying, "Well, it's the difference. It's a bit like a demon or a jinn or Allah. You can't see them." And I'm thinking, well, that must mean they're invisible then. Do you not get it? And it's the same logic over and again, isn't it? So when you see responses like that, there's a certain mentality that you have, that the religion of Islam creates. It creates this IQ. And while you're a Muslim, you can't get out of that IQ set. You can't raise yourself intellectually or logically out of that. So comments like that, no different.
Well, do you remember what I propagated like a couple of weeks ago, where I said what I'm going to go for now, and that is something that I'm going to hammer home every single time and all the time. That is this this idea of the Islam virus, and that is something that I think this is so true that if I go, let me just open this here. It's transmitted from person to person. It does. It attacks the brain. This is the point that you just made. It defends against other viruses because it tells everybody else that Christianity, Judaism, they're wrong. It controls mental functions. In other words, you are not, this is the red line that Yasser Qadi mentions. You're not allowed to think about certain things. You're not allowed to investigate certain things. And it programs the host to replicate it, in other words, to give dawah, to tell others about it. And this is what I call the Islam virus, because this is exactly how it works. And that is the point that just reminded me of it when you came up with this. So, yeah. And
Yeah,
this is,
well, go on.
no.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with you, specifically in the sense that it nullifies or dumbs down critical thinking. I don't believe there's a critical thinking Muslim. That, I think, is a contradiction. If you thought critically enough, you could not be a Muslim. So if you're going to come and claim that you're a critical thinker, well, we can put it to the test. If you're a Muslim and you feel like you can think critically, we will go into it. We'll ask you some questions and we'll quickly show where the critical thinking either stops or was never started to begin with. So that is my universal claim. I don't say that people are stupid or whatever, because they could be quite intelligent or they could be knowledgeable in other fields, but you can have, emirate professors who just don't use critical thinking. And so, that's a specific skill set, and it can infect anybody.
Which goes back to my point. I don't see how, me personally, how there are holes in the narrative is going to have that much of effect in the long run. I don't see it.
No, we'll have to wait. And in the comments, Khad is saying, how is invisible and unseen the same? Just because you can't see it with a naked eye doesn't mean it's not there. I don't understand it. How is invisible and unseen the same? Well, if something is invisible, it means it is there, but you can't see it. And unseen it is there, but you can't see it. So how is it different? Can you explain how invisible and unseen is different? It both refer to something that is there but cannot be seen.
And we're talking about physical objects in the physical.
He's a Muslim. Okay,
No, but that's fine.
That explains it. Yeah, but that explains exactly this.
Yeah, but we can still address it, right?
Yeah, but I didn't see this. I thought I didn't know that this is a Muslim, but then this shows exactly what is going on. How you cannot logically think about these things, because invisible and unseen are not the same thing, because they're used differently in the Quran. So you have to take these two words and apply them in the Quran, and then you see that they are different. And it's a pity because I'm having exactly this discussion that Rob just proposed on Facebook at the moment with a Muslim who is more intelligent and able to articulate. And I said to him, why don't you please come on? And he said, yeah, I'd like to. I'd love to, but it's 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. So he's in Pakistan or India or somewhere. So it's unfortunate because this was somebody that I would love to talk to because he is able. He doesn't go the normal way, okay? He argues totally different, and it's such a pleasure having somebody like that. I mean, okay, he also stupid things, but there's a lot of stuff that would be very nice to to understand how his line of reasoning goes here because he's a little bit different. Okay, this comment, and this is so typical. Okay, this is quite funny. The Israeli flag with the swastika in the middle, so it's quite strange. Warning: there is a toxic substance in this comment section, and it's called anonymous, IMOS. I don't know how to pronounce that. Please stay away from it, and report to Farid to remove this toxic substance. And then he carries on in the comments, and he's laughing about himself. Now, this is the only answer that they have. Because this anonymous went and criticized something. He asked them questions. And this is why this Blue Dragon guy immediately goes and says, no, we can't handle this. There's somebody here who's asking questions. We need to get Farid to remove this toxic substance. And it says later, yeah, listen, you stupid idiot, you're going to get banned now. You're going to be removed from here so that you can't bother, you can't harass us with your stupid questions. And that is all they have. That is the only thing they can do. They can only go on a rant, or they can only scream and shout like this hijab guy, or they can do this, and that is, censorship. And I have the same thing, and I made a comment on hijab's video, and of course it was removed. It never showed up. So he's practicing censorship. I did the same thing with, what's his name, Ali Dawah. Same thing immediately. So, these guys are so weak. They are so scared. So there's something really wrong.
Kade is just saying, unseen means some people are able to see, just not you. Invisible is used in a context where it's impossible to see. Something can be both unseen and invisible, and some are just unseen.
You see, this is exactly my point. Yeah.
And we're talking about iron. Iron is the physical, tangible object, right? The Gog and Magog could see it. They couldn't scale over it. Why they didn't walk around the mountains is another subject we'll cover when we get to chapter 18 of the Quran. But iron is not an invisible product. It is seen. So the context of the conversation is, why is it that we cannot find the wall of Dhul Qarnayn? So Kade, can you please answer that? Where is it?
And it's copper on top of that, yeah.
Oh yeah, brass or copper on top. Yes, so it should actually be reflective when the sun hits it.
I don't think you're going to do anything. Abu Murrah said, narrated by Abu Murrah. Now this is the mentality that we're getting. Okay, I once heard my son Imam Murrah say, Abu Layth is not a scholar. Grade Sahih. These are children. This is a public comment on a video where somebody is discussing something about religion, and this is the comment. This is Abu Layth. I terminated the career of Abu Layth. Can you believe it? Just because of Abu Layth is trying to, change a couple of things in Islam, and then this guy says, I once heard my son say Abu Layth is not a scholar. And he thinks this is amazingly funny. And look at the number of people who say they like this. I mean, what does that tell you about the level of sophistication that we are dealing with here? Is this just me, or does anybody think that this is amazingly eloquent?
I guess they think it's amusing. Best not give up the day job. All right, there's 2 for the price of 1. Because random guy says, I respect Islam and that's why I want to reform it. And that's what Abu Layth says. And what is the reaction of a
random guy, Muslim, Abu Layth, i.e. the Dajjal of Birmingham. Now, I don't know whether he's in Birmingham. I actually thought he was in Australia.
No, he's UK based. Because
He's
what's his
UK -based.
name? Saracen used to hang out with him.
Oh, okay. I mean, I think he's got a weird laugh, but I respect the way that he brings things across because he doesn't take himself too seriously. So that's always a good sign. And this is exactly what he says. I respect Islam, and that's why I want to reform it. Now, what's wrong with that? And he's the Dajjal of Birmingham. Now, I think everybody knows Dajjal, right? So I don't need. Then Jalaluddin at Al-Tabari, the time traveler, says, okay, if there was a clown trinity, Abu Layth would be all three. P.S. I made a refutation video. I don't know of what, but so this is the level that Muslims are reacting.
I once saw an Abu Layth, video maybe last year, and he came across as a guy that is. I remember thinking, it's a shame he's a Muslim because he came across. If he took Islam away from it, he'd be you could think to yourself, he'd be a really nice guy to hang out with every now and again because he's got that laugh, he's got that smile. There's a sense of fun and mischievousness about him.
Exactly.
So yeah, nice guy.
Yeah, this is the guy you'd go and have a pint and discuss things. Yeah, absolutely. Now, this woman is somebody that I wouldn't go out and have a brew with. Okay, so what would have happened to all these former slaves if slavery would have been abolished? Well, if slavery would have been abolished. All those ex-slaves just left to provide for themselves without any education or way of income? Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark.
So the best thing we can do is take them as and own them as property because hey, they're totally incapable of taking care of themselves. It's just
or another way of looking at it, we could not do anything for them because we're not a humane religion that will look after the impoverished.
I bet she's not black. So sad. I think this is so sad to see this, that people have this kind of an attitude.
Why is it she thinks, I mean, if you had to ask her, of course, you'd just get a bambling or you'd get a non-response, of course. But what's the argument that suggests that ex-slaves can't provide for themselves? And by ex-slaves, are you talking about children? Are you talking about women? Presumably talking about adults. And presumably because they were male slaves as well. And which one are you talking about? And what makes you think that they can't take care of themselves? If they were babies, that would be different. But even still, you've got to make the argument that owning somebody is objectively or even rationally better under any circumstance. I ask anybody to do that. I heard somebody trying to do it today in regards to something else, actually. As it happens, I'm sure Thunderous would probably disagree. There was a Christian guy talking to Skylar Fiction, I think he's agnostic, who was trying to justify slavery in the Bible, right? And he was trying to say that it was okay under certain circumstances. Most Christians, I'm guessing Thunderous would be the same, would disagree and say no, it's not, or it isn't slavery or whatever. But he was saying no, it was, and he made the same thing, right? The same thing about hey, if it were the case that people were just left to themselves, it's a false dichotomy, right? It's either you take them as a slave, or they will perish there. What's the least bad thing? And the claim is, and especially with the Muslims in particular, the least bad thing supposedly is to own somebody. And I'm going, no, it's not. If you're going to take them in, you could take them as a prisoner of war, whatever the case is, and you release them. But the owning of somebody as property, like your cattle and your objects, I can see no reason under any circumstance that would ever be better than the alternative of not owning them, everything else being equal. And somebody wants to make the claim that it is, good luck with that. I'll be open to hear what they have to say.
Well, easy. If I would be a Muslim, I'd have to ban you now. They'd start their own prostitution businesses and become filthy rich. Yes, because this is what they use. Why this fits in, because I saw a report, I think yesterday, about the prostitution business in Iraq because they have now gone full on with muta marriage. Muta marriage is the time-restricted marriage. In other words, the guy will pay a couple of $100 to some member of the clergy. He will then go and say, I am a Sharia court, and I herewith pronounce you man and wife, and do you understand that this marriage will be dissolved tomorrow morning? And then they both have to say yes, and then off they go. And he takes $400, the girl takes $400, and that's it. So now what is happening is you have tourists coming in from other countries who are having sex with 12-year-old children. And they just go and pay the guy for just one night, and then the girl is gone again. The problem is that if the family finds out that this girl is no longer a virgin, they have to kill her as an honor killing. So now, as a side industry, the virginity restoration industry is now booming, because you have doctors everywhere who are now sewing back together the hymen to make it look as though they still have this piece of skin intact. And a lot of girls are getting a vagina tightening, and some are even putting in like a little sponge before the before the marital night, just so that they have a little bit of red ink on the pillow on the sheet the next morning. So there's a lot of amazing stuff going on there. Really, it's amazing. Anyway, and this is what now this is why it fits in so nicely, that this woman thinks that just leaving slaves out in the open is not the way to go about it. Don't give them freedom. No. Owning them is a much better option. So this is okay. In my eyes, this is sick.
But what's your
All right.
objective standard, as a Muslim would say? Hey, stops.
Yeah. What?
We'll wait till we hear that from somebody that claims to be intelligent, and we'll just take that apart. I'm still waiting for that day.
Imagine having a South African accent talking about slavery. What does a South African accent have to do with slavery? Does that mean every Muslim is a terrorist?
Are you reading this? Oh, is this live chat? Is it?
Yeah. Muta is strictly Shia practice. I'm talking about Iraq. This is Shia, you dodo. And it's not only a Shia practice. It's being very quickly adopted by Sunnis too. I don't know why people do this. All right, let's take a look at the Quran. Are you ready, ladies, gents, and so on and so on?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So what I do is I take some sentences from the Quran and I condense them, I percolate them, I take the centerpiece of the information that is contained out, and this is what I do. So we're on chapter 7, which is Al-Araf, which has different meanings. Even Muslims don't know what the sentences in the Quran mean, and here they don't even know what the title of the Quran is. Because the Araf is a curtain, a high wall, a hill. It can be men or companions. It can be angels, people, martyrs. There's a lot of things, and people themselves have no idea
what chapter are we on?
What the Araf is.
Verse,
chapter 7, 52.
Okay.
So last week we talked about people in hell. We'll ask in heaven for the people in heaven. In other words, the son converted to Islam and he's in heaven. But the father did not convert, so he went to hell. And now the father in hell is asking the son in heaven for a glass of water. And the son says, sorry, Dad, I am denied to do this. My merciful God is not allowing me to give you a glass of water. You had your choice, Dad. I told you that you should take on Islam, Dad. You did not. So now you are boiling in hell, and I'm sitting here having sex with virgins, drinking wine and eating grapes. Good for me, Dad. This is how cruel Islam is. And then we forget those who didn't take Islam seriously. It's their own fault. That's what we ended on last week. So this week, in sentence 52, we provided a book, explained, full of knowledge, guidance, and mercy, but to believers only. Great.
Let's just bring that one up, stops, because that's another one of my favorites, like 3:138. And we certainly brought them a book which we detailed by knowledge, a guidance and mercy
Yeah.
to people who believe. We certainly sent unto them a book based on knowledge, justified true belief, which we explained in detail. Really? Is this the best you can do in detail? A guide and mercy to all who believe. So there the book itself is claiming that it's a detailed book, with knowledge in there. Can't get maths right, can't get any of the scientific claims or reality claims right. So exactly what is a detailing that reflects reality in any meaningful way? We'll wait for the answer to that one.
Yeah, and I had the standard response by a Muslim today. Give me a mistake in the Quran, give me a contradiction. I said, listen, you are the ones making the claims. You show me a sentence that is correct. No, you show me. No, you have to show me something that is correct. And they can't. They simply cannot do that. Oh, Veli is with us on G Block. Come on, man, bring some nice topics out there. Because you've been so busy with yourselves that bring something like controversial where we can really stir things up. Because Rob and I love doing that. He's the good cop, I'm the bad cop, and we beat each other up. So
hey, Veli, shout out to you. I've been super busy working every single day, so I don't have chance during the week. This is literally the only time I'm online now is on a Friday night. So yeah, but definitely bring over a few Muslims, Veli. We're dying to have, metaphorically in a nice way, we're dying to have some Muslim guests on here, which they come to your show, but somehow they're very cautious, let's just say, politically
Hesitant.
correct word, or a little bit anxious of coming on here. Maybe they think they're going to get an easy ride on the G Block, and they won't quite get an easy ride here, which probably, to be fair, is true. But hey, if you're brave.
Oops. What just happened, Rob?
Oh, sorry, don't know what happened there.
Oh, okay.
I bumped something.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right. So, but you understand, everybody understands the concept now. Okay, so I'm taking the sentence and I'm just, condensing it a bit. So sentence 53 would be, don't dare to wait for its fulfillment. So if you go to the original, you will see this is again 2-3 lines and blah, blah, blah. But I just said, don't dare wait for its fulfillment because something will happen and blah, blah, blah. And then this creator God created earth in 6 days. Well, in 41:10 he says it's 4 days, so we don't really know what's happening. So he created earth in 6 days in this sentence. And then he got on the throne. Got on the throne. So a God has a throne which is very limited, tiny space in the universe. So this huge God gets on the throne, covered night with day. I don't know how you get that right. All you have to do is spin a planet and it happens. So he covered night with day, made sun and moon. Okay, so he first created earth, then he made the sun, and then he made stars. But the sun is a star. Okay, he is the creation and command. So he is his own creation. So he creates things from himself so that he is the creation. So it's not out of nothing. So Allah is the universe. So we're talking about pantheism here or what? So this is very confusing what it says here. So you have a contradiction, 6 days and 4 days. Then you have nonsensical things like got on the throne. How can a God, like a huge thing, get onto a chair? Then he covered night with day, which doesn't make sense, it's ridiculous. And then he made the sun, and then he made stars, which is already made. And he is then the creation.
When did he make the throne?
Well, this is one of the things. There are, okay, but this is a very good question. We've done this, but people who haven't been here for the last 10 years listening to the Gin and Tonic show might not know this. There are some items which have always been there. One is God, Allah. Another thing is the throne. Another thing is the Quran. Another thing is the pen. Another one is the whale, and another thing is the water. So these things have always existed. With the Quran, some people are hesitant to say, well, maybe it's not uncreated the way it is claimed, because there's a contradiction in the Quran whether it is uncreated or written. And some people say no, it was written by this god somehow on the golden tablet. So he got a hammer and chisel and then went and hammered this into the golden tablets. And that is as long as the Quran has existed. And other people say no, it's uncreated like God himself. So
Just on this as well, Stops. This one, I've not read this for several years now, but I remember reading an article in some Islamic texts about one of the first things that Allah did was create the light of Muhammad, or the spirit of Muhammad, is it? The Ruh of Muhammad. So it was in heaven, or Muhammad's spirit was in heaven before he came to earth. Do you remember reading anything in the article like
no,
that?
no,
Okay, fair enough.
no. The Quran was always there. It was just unseen. There you go.
What does that mean, though? I mean, ask somebody what that actually means.
Well, no, this is a joke. This is
Oh, okay,
thinking
yeah.
clearly who is making a joke about the previous comments where they said, where this Muslim said that unseen and invisible is something else. And Gary, I'm out. Thank you very much. Goodbye. Good to have you here. I hope you guys have fun talking about us. Don't flatter yourself. We're not talking about you. We're talking about Islam, and we're talking about the people who are making unfounded claims. All right? So that's it. Okay. So we have a lot of, I mean, you can take this one sentence and you can write a book about it. You can talk about it for days because there is so much nonsense in here. It's absolutely amazing. But yeah, that's it. 55, call upon your Lord humbly and privately. He does not like transgressors. Yeah, but he's merciful. He's okay.
How many times have we heard that before? As if we haven't heard that about 65,000 times. In case you forgot about 3 sentences ago, whenever the last time you said that.
But call upon your Lord humbly and please listen to this. Privately. So, excuse me, guys. Why do you think you need to pray in Speaker's Corner? When sentence 7, number 55 says, call upon your Lord privately. Don't pray in public. Where does it say he sits on the throne? Well, it's, you know, in Islam, Maverick, in Islam there's a book, okay, which is called the primary source, which is called the Quran. Now, we're not 100% sure who wrote it, whether it was God, whether it was uncreated or one. Anyway, so it has 114 chapters, and in chapter 7, they have numbered sentences, and one of them is 54, which says, he got on the throne. Right? So nobody says he sits on the throne, he got on the throne. But if he got on the throne, well, maybe his big toe got on the throne, the rest didn't or something. Well,
Yeah, what
I
does
don't
it
know,
mean
it's
to get on
interesting.
a throne, right? If you're using language that your creation can understand, then what we understand as human beings by a throne is some sort of seated thing that a king or a supposedly a majesty or something would sit on. That's what we understand to be a throne. Now, if you're claiming that it's nothing like that, then why isn't that clear? Because this is a book of detail that we just heard about 3 sentences ago. So if you're going to communicate and you're going to use words that people understand or supposedly understood at that time, then you can clearly, and I think justifiably, infer that that's what he means by that, or whoever the author is means by that there's something there that you would call a throne. And if you're going to claim it's metaphor, well, why is that not clearly stated there? And I make for you a metaphor, a story, such that you can kind of try to understand what I'm talking about, because I can't obviously communicate clearly enough, so I'm going to do it in metaphor. Then at least you could say, oh, he's saying it's a
And
metaphor.
the danger is if you start using metaphors in the Islamic sense of what the spirit realm looks like, then everything that Allah describes and what Muhammad describes has to be taken as a metaphor in the spirit realm. Then it wouldn't make any sense. But when the term is get on the throne, is there any other way of getting on the throne other than sitting on it?
Jumping.
Yeah, but
You
typically
can
you're
jump onto the throne. You can stand on the throne. You can hover above the throne.
Well,
Look
what
at the
do we
Does
screen,
understand
that
by-
mean
Maverick.
extreme?
Yeah, but I think it's straightforward, right? What do we understand by a throne? It's some sort of seated thing that some sort of ruler or king or whatever the case is would sit on. If you're going to say that's not what a throne actually is, and Allah's got a special throne, how do you know that? Where do you get that information from? It's not clear in this supposedly detailed book. So where are you getting this from? Are you just making it up as most of your stuff is made up.
And as for where does it say 4 days? Well, look at the screen, for crying out loud. And I think G minus D, okay, we're just looking at what it says on the Quran. If you don't think that G minus D sits on a throne, I also don't think so. But that's what the Quran implies, doesn't it? So, anyway, where does it say that he is on a throne? I don't know, do I need to explain this again? Come on, use your... Okay. Call upon your Lord privately. Very important, dear Muslims, please don't pray in public. Do it privately. Don't do it where other people can see you. Do it privately. This is what it says here in the Quran. And he does not like transgressors, so he's going to be very cross with you if you don't do this. Okay? And it says here in 56, be good. I don't know what good is, or good at it. I don't know. Be good. Don't beat your slaves too much. Take only as many as you need, and don't have sex with them more than is necessary.
Do not mischief on the earth after it hath been set in order, but call on him with fear and longing. Why is there always fear? Why is this supposed God always either creating fear, or you've got to be in fear of it or him or whatever it is? For the mercy of Allah is always near to those who do good, but you've got to fear him at the same time.
So be good. 57. He sends winds, clouds, and rain on dry earth. This makes fruits. I think it takes more than rain to make fruit. We resurrect the dead. Okay, whatever. I've never seen that, but whatever. 58. Here's a sign. There is fertile soil and barren soil. Okay.
What is a sign of what there? Which part is the sign?
Brilliant observation. Okay, just go. Can you just open the? I mean, I'm not joking.
Yeah.
All right, just go to the original and show people that I'm not making this up. Okay.
From a land that is clean and good, by the will of its cherisher springs up produce, rich after its kind. But from the land that is bad springs up nothing, but that which is niggardly. Thus do we explain the signs by various symbols for those who are grateful. So this is what's called what's the term? It's like a trivial statement. Yeah. In other words, it's like me saying, well, all humans breathe air. So I'm having a discussion with Stops and I go, hang on a moment, Stops. All humans breathe air. It's like that is a completely uninteresting, trivially true statement. From land that's good, stuff comes up. From land that's bad, nothing comes up. Wow. That's an observation that no human has ever made, past, present, or future. What an incredibly amazing thing that only a God could do, even though it's trivially obvious to any human with eyes and half a brain.
Okay, here comes the next one. We sent Noah to his people, and he said, worship, or else.
Just on this one, I did think to myself that, okay, indeed we sent Noah to his people, worship only Allah. But I thought during the period of Noah's time that only Allah was being worshipped. After all, wouldn't Adam and that still be alive round about now in Islamic recension? Because how long did Adam live in Islamic recension? He lived long enough to see Noah, I'm sure. And if that's the case, then what other God would there be worshipped? Everybody there at the time of Noah and Adam and such, which is what this time period is talking about, would have all known who the true God is and who the other gods weren't. So that doesn't make much sense to me.
We're apparently taking things literally.
Oh, dear me. But I see in the comments that the Bible is just as ridiculous because somebody says he sits enthroned above the circle of the earth. I mean, that's just as false and just as ridiculous as anything. What is above the circle?
I'll answer that one. If you go to the book of Ezekiel and the book of Revelation, it clearly speaks, and I've said this time and again, the Bible makes it clear. He speaks in metaphors and similes that we do understand, and he does use the term metaphors and similes and visions and illustrations and parables. That's just ignorance on the part of the person that's just trying to make a comment. It's just somebody trying to make a comment who has actually not read the Bible and probably gone to an atheist website, anti-Bible atheist website, and got some quotes to plagiarize.
Anyway, we sent
and I think it's fine. But here's the thing as well. If the author or authors or whatever the case is say that they're using a metaphor, that's fine. Then everybody's clear that it's a metaphor, or it's if it's easily inferred. If, as it is in the Quran, with a throne or whatever else it is, that it's not clearly inferred, then to somebody to suggest that you're reading it literally and that's somehow wrong because it's so detailed and clear, just provide the evidence. That's all we're asking.
And
Can I,
Maverick, you need to
just
use
on
your
that
brain
alone,
as well,
how
because
many
if you're
times-
telling
Oops, there's a bit of lag between you
how
guys
many
there.
times
Thunder,
over
Thunder
the
go.
past few years? So how many times over the past few years that we've been doing this show have I said time and again, you cannot apply physical, tangible attributes to the spirit realm? How many times have I said that? Over and again. Every time we're talking about Allah's heaven, I'm mocking it because they're applying physical realities to a spiritual dimension that does not make sense. There is no literal throne in heaven, but it's speaking of using the language that we understand in the biblical extension to understand the majesty of God. He obviously doesn't sit on the throne, but it's just using symbolic language. The Quran, on the other hand, doesn't understand that. That's why these things are time and again proven and refuted illogical. Like you can have trees in heaven, or that the jinn were made out of fire. For fire, you need tangible objects and you need oxygen. So how else can it be other than another physical reality? Then it's not a spiritual realm that Allah exists in. Then surely it doesn't make sense.
And then again, Maverick, if you, I mean, just look at it. You are saying throne or dominion. Look at the root of the word. Read the context. Blah 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 blah. Don't you feel stupid? Don't you feel silly that you need to explain the words of a God? I mean, come on, this is a God, for crying out loud. It should be perfect. It should know everything in advance. It should be perfect. And here you are, it takes a person, you, to go and explain the words of a God who is not able to clearly say something, who is using human-made language to convey a message to us which we don't understand. And because he is so incompetent creating us, he has to send 140, how many, thousand messengers after us. How many?
124,000.
Sorry, 100. I knew there was a 4 somewhere. 124,000 messengers behind us to go and explain it to us. And why doesn't this God only create messengers? And this is the strongest argument that I can think of. Why didn't God create only messengers? Because then there would be no misunderstanding. Everybody had the message. Everybody knew how to worship. Everybody knew exactly what everything was about. Everything understood it. And God did not have to go and send this to other people after he created them. He can just create messengers or people with the level of the messenger. There you go. That's it. That's all you need to do. And this is the downfall of Islam, that this God is not capable of doing that. So that you have to come here and tell us these things should tell you that there is something really, really, really wrong. So we sent Noah to his people and he said, worship or else. And they said, nope. And he said, yeah, but I'm a messenger. I know from Allah what you don't know. Don't you wonder whether I'm a messenger? So, no. So we drowned them and saved Noah and his family on the ship. The ship, not a ship, but the ship.
Well,
So-
on that, Muslims say it was only a local flood. That's what the Muslims say. However,
Yeah, it's bullshit. Yeah.
but the thing is, if it was only a local flood, why would Noah or why would Allah get Noah to make an ark and all that time of sourcing the trees, treating the trees, chopping the trees, fashioning the trees, building the ark, getting all the animals, when all Noah had to do was just to walk somewhere else. If it's a
Yeah.
local, go to a region where the flood wouldn't affect them.
Just go up on a hill, yeah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't. No, there are several sentences in the Quran. We say, and Allah opened up the earth. He doesn't say just one stream came out of its banks or something like this. No. It's definitely a worldwide flood. But they have to, apologize because God couldn't do it, so they have to jump in and save their God because their God is so weak, doesn't know how to do this. I don't know why they even bother, really. Anyway, so this is the story. I know from Allah what you don't know, so I'm a messenger, and they said no. Okay, so we drowned them, and we saved Noah, and then we sent Hud to Ad. Now, the whole story of this is in 1150 to 57, because nobody knows who Hud is and where Ad is. Nobody knows. There are 50 million speculations. Nobody knows. And the same story. Worship Allah or else? No, but I'm a messenger. I'm on a mission from God. Who knows the Blues Brothers? We're on a mission from God. Don't you wonder? Sorry, this is my liberty of a translator because it says something a little bit different, but I wanted to get that I'm on a mission from God in there because I like this so much. I'm on a mission from God. Don't you wonder whether I'm a messenger? You are descendants of Noah and tall. Okay, so you are beautiful people, all right? Do you have any evidence? No have. So we only saved him and his buddies, killed everybody else. Same story, except this is Hud to Ad. Now we get the same thing again. This is why we have more sentences this week, because it didn't make sense to stop here in the middle. So they sent Salih to Thamud, wherever he said worship or else. This is evidence, a camel. Really, this is what it says. This is evidence. Here's a camel, a she-camel. This is evidence. There's a she-camel.
So many people, Salah, we sent their own brethren. He said, O my people, worship Allah, ye no other God but him. Now hath come unto you a clear sign from your Lord. The she-camel of Allah is a sign unto you. So leave her to gaze in Allah's earth, and let her come to no harm, or ye shall be seized with a grievous punishment. So what the hell is a she-camel? Is it a female camel? Let's just see if these guys can try and make sense of it. I just want to see. An exposition from your Lord has come to you. Lo, this is the camel of Allah, a token unto you. Okay. Doesn't say, he's not saying that it's a she-camel, so is it a female camel? So leave her to feed throughout God's earth. Okay, he seems to think it's a female there. How is it? I mean, is that the best that God could do though? Is send down a camel that you can't tell the difference?
Yep.
I mean, do something amazing, right? Write your name in the stars or something like that. Have the stars align, or do something that would baffle the people of the 7th century.
Anyway, this is, I mean, please, all right. People tell me that I'm supercilious, that I'm making fun of this. That, what can you do with this? Can you take any of this seriously? Can you look at this and say, "Oh wow, now this is impressive"? Can you do? You can't.
Only if you have an incredibly low standard. And most Muslims probably never read this or don't understand this anyway, so that eliminates 1.599 million of them anyway.
Billion.
Yeah, billion. Apologies, billion. But so they haven't read it anyway, and those that have sort of either glossed over it or tried to make something up here.
Just read these sentences. This is not, this is like a 5-year-old. This is the train of thought. What I would expect happens in the brain of a 5-year-old. I have a figure here, and he is Hud from Ad, and you must do this, or boom, 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 boom. Okay, but now the other guy comes, and he says to him, da da da, you need to do this, and if boom, boom, boom. This is like a 5-year-old playing games with figures or something like this. And then, he comes on a camel. Wow, wow, wow. I don't understand. I don't understand who is impressed by this.
No, you should be totally underwhelmed, but presumably either Muslims haven't heard of this, or to claim that they're overwhelmed by this is, again, to have a standard that is just non-existent. Anything would overwhelm you.
And he is right? He could uncreate them. Why drown them? Why kill? Why commit this genocide? Why drown all these people when you knew? And again, this is my old logical thing. If you know in advance what is going to happen, why don't you undo this? Why don't you do something else instead of creating this person like that? Why not stop and do it again, or try something better, or change?
It's a message to everybody else. This was just cannon fodder to send a message to everybody else to behave themselves and to follow the message. So it's my creation after all. Let me just wipe them out in one of the more unpleasant ways that I could. I could just buff them out of existence and they wouldn't feel any pain or anything else. And that would actually be like a pretty spectacular event. Suddenly everybody is just like vaporized instantly. That would be pretty shocking and so forth, especially if a booming voice came down and told you you'd done it. But no, rather let me apparently drown them in, non-existent flood so they can suffer. So it's a message for everybody else because it's like curtain dressings. I can make of them whatever I want to show everybody else to behave themselves.
But then it says he hates the devil, right? But then by doing that, he's pleasing the devil because he's giving the devil more people.
Yeah, there was an argument about that recently as well. Something about the devil. I'll have to think about that and come back on that.
So this is quite strange. Anyway, so I'm not impressed by this. So you are the descendants of Ad, worship or else. The arrogant asked the believers, do you believe he's really a messenger? And they said yes. The arrogant one said nope. So they hamstrung the camel and demanded evidence. I don't see the connection here. I don't see the connection. Anyway, so the arrogant ones who demanded evidence, I don't know why they hamstrung the camel really. They died in an earthquake. Oops.
Have we got evidence that this happened? Or is this just going to be any old earthquake that you can point to? So it's
this is any old earthquake, and who the arrogant ones were, we don't know. There was an earthquake in Mecca, wasn't there? When the whole of Mecca collapsed, isn't there? No? I wonder when this was. But this must have been in art. Who knows where art is? So maybe there was
it's a detailed book for those who believe. So clearly, if you don't believe, it's not detailed. But if we ask the believers what the detail is here, I'm sure we'd get some gibberish anyway.
So somewhere on this planet is a place called Ad, which had an earthquake, and the arrogant ones were killed. And then 79 is, I told you so. No.
Yeah, I mean, this is, without evidence, this is just stories, right? So they obviously did whatever they did to the camel to show how you can't, it's not true. And then suddenly an earthquake got them to show that it was true. Well, that's just stories, right? You're just making stuff up.
Yeah. Crazy.
Right, let's get on to video, shall we? It's already 15:15 almost. Goodness.
Should we? Oh, fuck. Oh, you're joking. Yes. Oh, you're not.
Yeah, I think there was a bit of a preamble in the beginning today that took up a bit of time.
Oh, my hijab thing. Hang on. I'm making a mistake. Why is this here?
At least you're not claiming to be a god and making mistakes.
Yeah, the thing is, I've got this monitor which is different. Oh fuck! Oh dear. Because, oh my god, where am I getting all this shit from?
You and technology stops.
I tell you, sometimes because I'm knocking myself out.
Maybe there is an Allah. Maybe there is a version of a Satan that's playing tricks on you.
Okay, I need to do a tab with audio. Oh, yes. Here we are. Yeah, because these are things you can't really practice because they just happen now. And now because I have new equipment, then it takes some time before I get used to it again. So, but don't worry, we're there now. Okay, so this is a video of a, am I allowed to say quite a big woman who is dressed in layers and layers and layers and layers of black cloth, who is complaining about Nike and that she will not change. So, as usual, please go and type 111 or something to stop or shout stop, okay?
Nike is a brand that is well known for making cool sneakers and simple.
Okay,
sounds like an Australian accent, mate.
Yeah,
it does. Have a Barbie down under.
But this is quite funny.
Is well known.
Oh no, it is Nike. Okay.
For making cool sneakers and some pretty epic ads. But this time, something has definitely gone wrong. Their recent ad, You Can't Stop Us, gained mixed reviews. From praise
I don't know if you can actually see this, even though it is on full. What Nike has done is they've put an ad there where you have different people, like in sports dress, and then there's a line down the middle. On the left, it's a sport dress, and on the right, it's normal clothing. So they're trying to offset here sports versus standard apparel.
for their creative editing to accusations of hypocrisy being a leading brand using forced Uyghur
What she's doing is she's trying to make this into an accusation, and now this is how this goes. Okay, Nike sells sports clothing, and they have an ad, and they shouldn't be making the ad because the sports clothing is being made by Muslims in China.
How do they know that's the case?
Well, this is the thing. Uyghur Muslims sent to work in Chinese factory that supplies Nike. Report fines. Now, that's the only thing we have. And they work
doesn't
under
mean-
conditions
even
that
if it
strongly
were-
suggest forced labor.
But even if it were the case that presumably Nike, if they found out, they would move to stop doing that, or maybe not. But even if it were the case, how do they know that those particular clothes are made by them? Or is this just a general comment against Nike per se and nothing to do with the clothes? In which case you wouldn't have to reference those particular clothes. You could just say, hey, here's some Muslims that are apparently being used as kind of almost like slave labor to work for Nike. That's a bad thing. What's it got to do with the clothes? What's the connection with the clothes? How do they know? If they had evidence, hey, that those clothes in the ads, they came from that factory, hey, different story. I doubt it.
Yeah, but now it's not only made in China, it's made by Uyghurs in China. And I strongly doubt even that. Maybe they have one or two Muslims sitting there who are working there, but that's it. But they're making it look, with this picture, like it's a concentration camp where they sent all the Uyghurs, and now they have to go and sit there under forced labor. And what the Nazis did in Germany, that they took prisoners of war from Poland, for example, and put them into the factory. And then they had to go and work for the Germans to produce more weapons that they could then offload in Poland. So this is forced labor, and this is the this is the same thing as with the Islamophobia, where they're taking a word which was used in a totally different context, in a totally different way, in a totally different manner, whatever, and they are trying to somehow print this now into the minds of the people, using the concentration camps and the forced labor picture that the Nazis had, and now playing the victim for Muslims. Now, if this is the case, if there is a concentration camp and they're putting people there, and it doesn't matter whether it's Muslims or not, this is appalling. And I think Nike needs to be called out for that, and Nike needs to be punished for that they are doing that. Because I know a lot of companies are now being punished for using child labor, for using illegal means and ways of producing stuff. And this is correct. This is absolutely a good thing that I support. And if Nike is actually doing that, then they should be punished for that. But I'm a little bit skeptic here. I don't believe this right off the bat.
labor in China. Now, on the outset, this appears to be an incredible ad that gives us all kinds of inspirational feels. The music, the transitions, it's incredibly captivating. That is, of course, until this happens.
And if we don't fit the sport, we'll change the sport.
So going from a hijab to a, what's that? It's a bit small there. Somebody on a skateboard.
LGBT activist.
Okay. Yeah, because Nike is very left wing, aren't they? Anyway, so
I think this is so brilliant. I think this is so clever. But this is the
Until this
height
happens.
of
And if we
insult
don't
for
fit
her.
the sport,
Like a woman in a burqa. No, it's a niqab. It's not full. It's niqab.
I can't see it
And-
so clearly.
we'll change the sport.
And then
Seriously?
coming out as an LGBT activist. And I think this is so brilliant. This is such a good ad. And I love it because it is so full of stereotypes. It is so full of, it messes with your brain on so many levels. I think it's brilliant. And of course, for a Muslim, this is terrible that they are taking a female Muslim to go into an advertisement like this.
A Muslim woman skateboarding in a niqab transitioning into a woman skateboarder waving a smoked out LGBT flag. Now, a message to the stallions of capitalist wokeness at Nike. With all of those millions of dollars spent on perfecting your marketing.
So, I don't know. Does she leave out any embarrassing connotation or anything that she can associate with Nike? Full of money, full of this, and look, they are exploiting poor Muslims. We are the victims, and now they still have to go and take a female Muslim and do this to us. This is so funny.
One's got nothing to do with the other.
Advertising strategies. Did you not just think for a second that this was just a bit inappropriate?
We'll change the sport.
See, I'm not.
Now, this was a funny comment because somebody said entire books could be written about this 4-second clip from the new Nike ad. I don't think so. I think this is just very clever. I think this is very well done, excellent execution, excellent quality, and that's it. And there's a lot of, pictures that they're using, so it's brilliant. But I don't think this is a scandal. I don't think there's anything wrong with this. I think it's brilliant. And everybody immediately understands the message. Everybody immediately gets it. And that is the point.
See, I'm not sure exactly what you're trying to suggest we should change.
They should change that you take off that ridiculous attire that you've got on there and you go and live with society of the 21st century and not tell us to go back into the 7th. That is what we are telling you. Thunder, any comment? Or are you still fighting?
No, I was in a bit of a chat and I got sidetracked. But I saw the advert during the week, and to be honest, it was just one of those examples of here's a Muslim example where they've got an opportunity to be proactively offended. My first initial reaction is, yeah, but this is the same thing. I've had this problem with the religious Islam for decades, where they're saying you're voicing something now only because Muslims are being exploited. Right, you don't raise your voice when, say, non-Muslims in China were being exploited, or in India, or in any other country for that. In fact, we've got Muslims being exploited in Leicester at the moment, which was brought out recently. Anyway, that said, let's put that to the side, because it goes to the argument I've tried to bring on the show several months ago about charities, NGOs, and other organisations made up of Jews, Christians, and atheists and whatnot, a whole mixture that highlight these very issues and have done for decades around the world. But the only time you ever hear the voice of a Muslim is when it's a Muslim that's suffering from these plights. It's wrong what's happening. I made that comment last week about the forced eugenics program that's taking place in China by having Muslims that have one child per family. So that is wrong. This is wrong too. But my criticism is Islam only ever raises its voice on this issue when it's Muslims that are suffering. It doesn't raise its voice on non-Muslims or the kuffar. But then I suppose when your religion teaches that the non-Muslims are the worst of creatures, why are they going to speak up for non-Muslims? Whereas any other faith pattern outside of Islam does proactively fight for the causes of those that are impoverished, even in those in other countries. We do not see charities, NGOs, organizations from Muslims defend anything else other than Muslims and Muslim interests. Rant over.
Rob, any comments?
Yeah, no, I think you guys have set up until now, you've sort of covered it quite well.
But if you're trying to suggest that Muslims should somehow change our long-standing Islamic values to conform to today's liberal standards, you might be a little off. Or if you're trying to suggest that Muslims are one in the same with the LGBT cause, you might be just a little off there too. And this isn't coming from a place of homophobia, nor
Oh, no, of course not. I embrace LGBT. No. But stay away from me.
Tolerance towards the LGBT community.
Do you guys, do you pick up on body language and things like that?
Of course, I mean she's very sort of like firm in her stance. She's speaking in such a way so not to welcome it or in a sympathetic way to the human being. She's making it's almost like a line has been drawn, and in a very proactive, repugnant way. I find you keep that away from me, kind of attitude.
Because she's saying, yeah, it's all okay, but the body language is saying exactly the opposite. Stay away, don't do this, and she's totally rejecting this.
Or intolerance towards the LGBT community, but to specifically tie the two groups together.
I don't even know if is this really her talking. You don't know. This could be just a puppet sitting there moving the head a little bit, and that's it. You don't know who's saying these words.
Just doesn't make any sense. I mean, what does my Muslim niqabi sister, who rocks some pretty cool moves on the skateboard, have to do with the LGBT cause? The scene stands out like a sore thumb. But in all honesty, I'm not surprised. Liberal media has long had an agenda of targeting the minds of impressionable young Muslims to be in line with the values
that's a
of the
bit rich.
progressive left.
The liberal media has been at pains to try and avoid offending Muslims.
They appease
Yeah.
Muslims, left, right,
And
and
this
center,
isn't the
wherever they
liberal
can.
media anyway. This is a company who's decided to include this. So it's not the liberal media. So she's conflating a particular company's advert with the liberal media. The liberal media goes out of its way to suggest that, we shouldn't offend Muslims because they've got a special offense that,
Oh no,
appears to...
this is a representative of a religion that whenever you speak truth against this religion, it turns around and says homophobic, intolerant, bigotry, and hate talk. Even quoting the Quran could have you reprimanded at work or socially or through the international medium, where you're reprimanded for highlighting the truth of this religion. And this is how she speaks. Look at her image, the identity with she's come on like Gog Stormtrooper and speaking like this, and then saying that everybody else is intolerant. Look at the intolerance coming through this person.
And the irony amidst it all is the fact that it is all being done in the name of freedom of expression and embracing one's individuality.
Where's the irony? I'm not seeing the irony.
This is an ad, and it has nothing to do with liberal media. The liberal media is not doing anything to Muslims. Nike is not doing anything to Muslims. All they are saying is that you can, this is the ad, this is the message, you can achieve things. And of course you can achieve this if you use Nike products. Okay, this is the ad. But in general, it's just saying, do your own thing. You are free to do it, and you can if you want to. There's nothing wrong with that.
Pretty hypocritical, if you ask me.
No, you
I
are.
mean, how can one honestly be
We're not
preaching
asking
freedom?
We're not asking you. Nobody asked you. You just proactively got on here because you found an opportunity to have a voice to be listened to because you're in your normal walk of life. Nobody listens to you. So here's your chance. Have your 15 minutes of fame.
And the thing is, you need to appreciate, this is something I only wanted to point this out at the end, but this is not something that you can comment on. This is not something that you can get into a discussion over. This is only one way, and that is preaching. There is no way that you can interact with her.
Freedom of expression while insidiously be eluding Muslims to reform their religion, not allowing Muslims to be Muslims.
We are
What does it mean to be a
allowing
Muslim?
Muslims to exactly.
Yeah.
We are allowing Muslims to be Muslims, but we are not allowing the ideology of Islam to corrupt our countries. If you want to leave Islam in Saudi Arabia, you're more than welcome to do so. But please don't bring Islam outside of those countries. I think 56 countries is enough. We don't need more Muslims. We don't need more people living in the 7th century. So we're trying to get the Muslims out of the 7th century, because a Muslim living in the 21st century can be a Muslim, more than welcome. But please, not using the ideology of the 7th century. This is the only thing.
Or you could just as equally leave the country, go back to your own country and stop wearing capitalistic-based clothing.
But what's a
and
Muslim?
watch
Right? Who
ads.
decides what a Muslim is? The Muslim women that don't walk around in niqab, are they Muslim women? And if they're not, by what standard are you making the claim? Since your book is supposed to be detailed and everybody has the same opinion, not. So who decides what a Muslim is? You? Why you? Who are you?
To do Muslim, the Kaaba would have to wear a face mask. Is she wearing Nike trainers under that niqab?
Yet the sad truth is, in the eyes of the corporate giants, Muslims, in particular Muslim women, are no more than a market and a means of profit. And big brands will
Like everybody else in the world.
Shit, you took the words out of my mouth. I'm too slow.
She looks like she needs to go running anyway. She looks like she's got a bit of weight under that.
This is why I said it's a big lady.
do whatever it takes to maximize on this. As
That's
such,
what
we are constantly
companies do, God darling. Welcome to corporate reality, yeah.
Exactly.
barraged
not just
with
you.
advertising that idolizes a Muslim that looks, acts, thinks, and behaves in a certain way. They will encourage you to go against the grain, to be bold, to be different, to be a model Muslim that will serve the corporation's liberal ideals and help them reach their marketing goals.
No,
It's
be a
supposed
model. Go on, stops.
No, you go first.
Be a model Muslim and follow the Quran if you can if you can even understand it and get a coherent reading of it. By all means, go ahead and do that and see how far that gets you.
And this shows the difference between Muslims and non-Muslims. A Muslim will say, well, here we are, we're being told to do something, and they are being told to obey. But it doesn't work like that. As a non-Muslim, this is like a suggestion. And I can either reject it or I can embrace it. It's up to me. I have the brain, I am being taught how to think. So if I'm being confronted with a suggestion or an offer like this, I can say, no, I don't want it. Because I'm being stereotyped, because I'm being this, because I'm being this, whatever. I have the freedom to reject it. You don't. If the Quran tells you you must do this and that, you must do it. You don't have the option. So you cannot take an ad that is being tailored towards non-Muslims and apply Muslim standards. It does not work that way.
If we think greatness is supposed to look a certain way, act a certain way, and play a certain way, we certainly need to rethink some things.
Now, I'm not trying to say we shouldn't be Muslim women that are fit, active, and healthy.
You might
That
want to
is
take a page out of those
exactly
Muslim
what
women's
you're
books. You might want to take a page out of those books if you want to be that, of course. But then if you want to be less active, not thin, then fine. I mean, you can hide it behind that clothing, and that is a good hiding place. But even we can kind of see through that. So
For all of this is no doubt commendable when it is done the right way. We have no issue
who
with
decides
that.
what the right way is? Somebody rambling
what I
behind
am-
a curtain?
I'm trying to say is don't let these corporate giants define what it means to be you.
Nobody is saying that about any human being. Nobody will go and say you need corporate giants to define you. That is the biggest nonsense I've heard. Everybody knows what a company is and everybody knows what an advertisement is. You don't need to go and buy what people ask you to buy. You are not enticed. You can just reject it. It's very easy.
A Muslim. Don't let them delude you away from knowing that your greatness is in obtaining the pleasure of Allah.
How do you do that? By prostrating yourself, covering yourself up, and following commands like a good little person.
And being told that you are, and to be honest with you, nobody should pay attention to this woman. You know why? Because Muslim women won't pay attention to her. You know why? Because she said you got half the intelligence of a man. So what she's saying doesn't make any sense anyway. She's only got half the intelligence of a man. It takes two witnesses of a woman to equal one witness of a man. And Western people, the kuffar, are unbelievers anyway. So she's really, who's she really talking to? Only other Muslim women.
Of course. And thinking clearly, no, Allah does not like Nike. He likes H&M. See Quran, chapter 41, sentence number 1. H&M. It's right there in the Quran. There you go. It's undeniable.
Living a life in line with your religion and a life whereby you uphold your values. Islam.
Your values, what are your values? You as a woman, you are there only as a sex object. You
Yeah.
are a human incubator. You have to hold still while your husband slaps you because he suspects you of being, I don't know, aggressive or regressive or whatever the case may be.
If
And
fear,
it's
fear,
not for you to speak up.
if you fear disobedience, yeah, your husband could be verbally admonish you, he could psychologically abuse you, or he can physically beat you. And if you walk in front of your husband, he has to start his prayer again, because if a dog or a donkey or a woman walks in front of your husband while he's praying, he has to start his prayer again, meaning you're equal to a dog or a donkey. Yeah, those are the values. What about the values of a man that you're following that has sex with a 9-year-old girl while he was 54? Are those the values? What about the man who said just to stop adoption? Okay, what we're going to do is I'm going to cause the divorce of my adopted son and his wife and then marry his wife. Are those the values you want to promote?
Are you okay with your husband having another 3 wives? Are you okay with your husband having as many concubines as he wants to? Are you really okay with, are those the values that you are talking about?
While
There's a
your
lot
husband
of things that we can bring up.
Yeah, and then when your husband gets to heaven, he's going to have 77 wives or 72 wives. You're going to be one of them, but somehow Allah's miracle is going to remove jealousy away. So you're going to have to share your husband with 72 other women, but don't feel bad because Allah's going to bless you and remove jealousy away from you.
Your values have been set. Your religion is complete. No matter how many people will
Complete
tell
follow.
us it's outdated, needs reformation, and needs to change, that is just not the case. And Allah has affirmed this in the Quran. Today I have perfected for you your religion and completed my favor upon you and have approved for you Islam as your religion. So my dear Muslims, and of course my sisters, be strong, be brave, and don't let them take away from your greatness in being a true Muslim.
So there you have it from the Muslim lady.
Yeah, let's move on. I think that's kind of, we've said everything we need to say there.
Okay, let me quickly see if I can open the next one, which is... Oh, yes, I need to share this again because I changed it. There you go.
Does share screen not easier stop? So you're kind of doing it through minicam or something?
No, I'm doing it straight through screen through a separate tab so that I can get the sound.
Sweet. Okay.
What I'm wondering is if I can...
What's this one
I
about?
cannot
then?
make it bigger. I cannot...
It's good enough. Everybody can see it. You can go full screen, I guess, but then you can't see anything else around the sides. So that little square down there, bottom right-hand corner next to the audio, does that make it bigger?
I'm just going like this. Does that make it bigger?
Just blacks out the sides. No, it doesn't. That's made it smaller. Just leave it like that. That's fine.
Okay.
Because we probably only need to hear it really more than see it, I'm guessing.
Yeah, this is a very short one, and this is okay. This is also low-hanging fruit, and I have to repeat over and over and over. A toaster has a purpose. It does one thing, and that is to toast bread. It doesn't do anything else. That is its purpose.
Is this the guy that did that song several years ago on YouTube about saying things about my prophet? Just stop it. Is he the guy? I don't know if you
Yes,
guys remember.
this is the soft rapper. Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, I see. He's had a nose operation because he used to have this mole in the middle of his nose.
Soft rapper.
Yeah, he did this da 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 dee da 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 dee da dee da 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 dee da 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 dee da 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 da, and he used to have words, from the Quran in this. So, I mean, he's an idiot. Okay, he's a deluded fool, but he's making money out of other Muslims because he's got a following of also a couple of million. I don't know how many. So it's good for him.
Let me help you answer the most important question in your life. Come with me.
The most important question in your life. What are next week's lottery numbers? And he's going to tell me.
Imagine waking up on an abandoned island one morning. You don't know where you are, how you got here, or why you're here. What would you do? Like most
Look
of
around
us,
for food
most
to survive, probably. Find some shelter.
I think the first thing is I must have been very drunk. I'd throw up.
obvious thing
Well,
would be to
possibly.
first find out answers to these questions. You would search far and wide for clues and signs and anything that can perhaps guide you towards the right direction.
Anyone? Where am I?
It sounds like the obvious thing to do, right?
Were you
Most
going to shout
common
out
sense
into
of-
the blue yonder? Hang on, stops. Is that the first thing you're going to do? Shout out there, where am I, as if the trees or the animals are going to respond to you? I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I'm going to look for food and water and some shelter initially, and then try and find my bearings. But am I
Exactly.
going to shout
Okay,
out?
I do it the other way around. I would first look for high ground to see where I am and if this is really an island, how much space I have, and what the chances are of finding water. Yeah,
I don't
because water
think
would
too many people are going to shout out there, especially if it looks
No.
abandoned.
Yeah.
option, or you'd actually be surprised. You see, there's really little difference between waking up here and waking up here on planet Earth. In both cases, we don't know how we got here, where exactly we are, and most importantly,
What do you mean?
why we're here.
Okay, stop there. How we got here? Well, yes, we do know how we've got here in the sense of a constitution of, biology and the constitution of the heavy elements that were created in nuclear fusion in the stars that eventually came about. How exactly that got life going here, that's still a mystery. But it's through that sort of a process, whether it was seeded by other aliens or whether it happened, quote unquote, naturally. So that part's still a mystery, but the before and the after we're quite clear on. But then there was a question before this one as well, before the why are we here thing, that he asked there, that I was like, what? Just go back a moment there, Stops, if you can.
Yeah.
We are, and most importantly, why we're here.
No, but just before that one, just go a little bit further back. Okay.
Here on planet Earth. In both cases, we don't know how we got here, where exactly we are.
Where exactly we are? What do you mean? We're in we're in this particular solar system on the edge of the Milky Way galaxy. What do you mean, where are we? We're on Earth. What does that mean?
And blah blah makes a very good point. You're on a beach.
Or you're in a
And
street
you're in the
if it was there.
city. And here there are a lot of people that you can ask, where am I? So what the hell is your point?
And most importantly, why we're here.
Okay, but hang on a moment. Okay, so this is begging. I'm sure viewers are quite familiar with this. Is begging the question. In order to ask why, you are inferring that there is a reason why you are here, i.e., that the reason isn't just
Exactly.
through random effects or spontaneous, whatever the case is. You need to demonstrate that there is a why. Otherwise, the question is, you're putting the cart before the horse. Now, if you could demonstrate that there was a teleological mind, that Allah had done this, then you could legitimately ask, why are we here, oh creator of, Muslims or whatever the case is. But we haven't even got to that stage. So the question is being begged here against the person or against anybody else that doesn't believe that there is a why. So you, Mr. Muslim, would have to demonstrate there's a why.
It's like asking who created the universe.
Why so
Yeah.
religious it says, where's my compass? I think it means like bowing down to Mecca, maybe.
No, it means I need guidance. I always say that. No, I don't need guidance. I have GPS. So what the hell?
So why the difference in response? I mean, why is it perfectly understandable to search for answers here, but completely inappropriate to search for answers?
Because one is you're lost, the other is you know where you are, unless you're claiming you're lost in the city as well. I mean, this is so like basic. This is like simpleton logic.
I warned you in the beginning. This is low hanging.
Strange, isn't it? Well, let's take this a bit further. Let's say you continue walking along this abandoned island, and to your relief, you finally find someone that can actually...
Excuse me, you just said it's an abandoned island.
Good point, Stops.
What the hell is going on
Apparently
with you?
abandoned island. Then you see somebody with headphones on that just happens to be standing on the beach.
You have to understand, Islam has the miracle of reinterpretation of words. They've applied it with the Quran, and they're applying it with the Collins Dictionary.
And he was resurrected 2 seconds ago.
Be healthy.
Hey! Hey! What am I doing here?
Well, what
Don't
if he's
know,
not
mate.
interested?
How are you doing?
How did I get here? I just woke up. I just woke up here.
How the hell is another human going to tell you how you got there or why you are there? What a ridiculous question to ask another human being.
No. Obviously, he's going to tell him, talk to your creator, ask him why he put you there, get the Quran, and it will answer all the questions for you.
How would that make you feel? Upset, bewildered, confused? I mean, what could possibly be more important than this? Well, what if I was to tell you that this happens almost every single day?
I'd say prove it.
It happens all the time that people don't know where they are, why they are there, and what are you talking about?
Where we have 101 unanswered questions on life, and most of us are simply uninterested. We're busy, whether it's in work, family, wealth, fashion, entertainment, or catching up with the latest technology. It's not to say that these things are wrong, but surely they're not more important than answering the most important question.
What's your argument for that? If you found out the most important thing in life, or what do you claim is, how would that make your life better? You've now got an answer. What are you going to do differently?
Good question.
Our purpose. You see,
Why are they so bent on this purpose? I don't understand. Just because it says in one tiny sentence in the Quran, your purpose is to worship your creator. Okay, and the jinn. The jinn and the humans who are created, they need to worship their creator. And now, from this tiny sentence, you go and you say, okay, the most important question is, why am I here? What is my purpose? Well, if you've got the Quran, you know your purpose. And if you know your purpose from the Quran, I think you're an idiot to think that you have a purpose. Because like I said, a toaster has a purpose. I have challenges, I have satisfaction, I have a whole lot of things. It is up to me to create the purpose in this life and decide what I'm going to do. Not for some old 1,000-year-old.
Yeah, but the other point is, stops, that if the Quran has given you the purpose, why are you asking? Is this person that ended up on the beach or whatever the case is not a Muslim? Well, obviously, I know this is supposed to be some sort of metaphor, but if the book tells you that's your purpose and you want to believe it, there you go. Your question's answered. Now what? Now just follow the book. Right? You don't have to think too much. All you have to do is follow your instructions, because a lot of people prefer to follow instructions than think for themselves.
Correct.
And clearly this fellow and whoever agrees with him are that way inclined.
And now you're just going to go to the first person and get instructions from the first person you come across. Are you going to see what other instructions you get to test out those instructions?
Good one. Yeah, exactly. Are you going to believe any guy who just happens to sit there and he's going to give you the purpose of life and everything? Yeah, sure. What if he's a Zoroastrian or a Rastafarian or a Sikh or a Hindu? Then that is the person that you believe? It shows you how futile this whole thing is. It shows you how regional and petty this whole question is of who is the right God. Because there's thousands, so which one are you going to choose? Yeah.
Well, they claim they've got a book that tells them, right? They just don't have good evidence that it came from a god. That's the big thing.
And
But apart from that minor hiccup, it's okay.
in every desert island movie I've watched where somebody's gone up to, when they found themselves on the deserted island, well, it's not been deserted, but anybody they've gone up to, the first person they've gone up to and got asked those questions, where am I? Because nobody ended up bad for them. The island of Dr. Moreau, anybody?
Yeah, but what happens if the same thing happened to the other guy? Then they're both clueless. Then they're both on a deserted island. They both don't know how they got there. They both have no clue. And now what?
That goes back to the point, doesn't it? What you're just going to take the first answer you're going to get.
And some things we just don't have an answer for. And some of us are okay with that. Yes, an answer would be nice, but we don't wake up each day going, oh my God, I don't have an answer. My life is meaningless. That's complete and utter nonsense, right? Some things humans just don't yet know. And we're okay with that. But people like this fella, clearly that's not good enough. So I'm going to insert something into the space provided, even if I don't have good reasons and evidence, because it gives me an emotional, response that makes me feel good. Well, okay, just don't come and don't pretend that you're giving a rational argument. You're giving an emotional argument to fit something in for something that we don't yet know.
But it gives me the illusion of an explanation, and that is what I need.
Yeah, which is like an emotional, feel good thing.
Yeah, exactly.
All of this if we wanted to. I mean, no matter how important these questions are, at the end of the day, no one's forcing us to answer these questions. But there is one last thing. Our time here is limited. And the reality is, no one knows when, where, or how we're going to leave this world. But we will have to leave one day. And whether we like it or not, when we do leave this world, we will have no choice left but to confront these questions.
How's that
No.
going to be the case? When you leave this world, the evidence suggests that that's the end of thing. There isn't consciousness surviving the death of the brain. Now, obviously, if you're a believer that believes that, now you need to give good reasons for why that's the case. I know people have tried to, and they're trying to invoke quantum mechanics and other spooky things, and I just don't find that convincing. But if this particular fellow suggests that you are going to have to answer these questions after you die, well, again, you're begging the question, my friend.
And until then, would we still want to ignore this question? Now, I don't plan on enlightening you with your purpose in this very short video, but I can at least ask you to start searching and start thinking about your purpose today. You'll get there.
Sorry, I am not a toaster. I do not have a purpose. That's how easy it is. Okay, that's the end of the video, because now what they do is they do this.
Yeah, I mean, this is the tactic that Dawah is Easy fellow does as well occasionally, and others. And I think Sabur's tried it. I think other Muslim apologists have tried this as well. Think about your purpose or whatever the case is. Well, I have a purpose, which is to live the best life I can, look after my family, have some positive impact, leave some sort of the world slightly better than what I found it. That's my purpose. Now, if you're claiming that there's a cosmic purpose, well, then you've got a lot of work ahead of you to demonstrate that's the case. And even if that is the case, even if that you had good reasons to believe there was a cosmic purpose of some sort, how do you know what that is? And is it a good purpose? Or do we define, how do you know whether it's a good purpose or not a good purpose? Now, if you ask a Muslim this, I'm waiting for the time, maybe, if there is another thing stops and I'm around at some point, although I'm super busy at the moment, maybe we can hop on, the Muslim channel when they bring up the subject of morality and the purpose and all this, and we'll go into it. And I think a few questions, and it'll quickly unravel for them, because I've thought about it quite a lot, and I've got a series of questions that I can ask, a Muslim who wants to claim that they have objective morality, etc. Some questions, and we'll see whether they can respond, because they crow this from the treetops, and nobody really challenged it, or not effectively that I've seen, and I think we need to do that to pull the rug from underneath, so that that won't stop them. I mean, they're either going to be willfully ignorant or not understand the objections that are made, but at least people who are watching might pick it up. So that's my hope at some point.
Well, I do it using two different ways. One is I'm asking, okay, how come if you have the morality from the Quran and I have the morality not from the Quran, how come we are so similar in so many things, and how come that my morality is on a much higher level than yours? And then on the other hand, I turn it around and say, how come that you don't have the morality from the Quran, but you have a much higher value than the Quran itself? How do you explain that? And those are two questions they can't answer. Like I said to you, the one thing I want to ask a Muslim, I've never done that, or maybe I have, I can't remember. Does the Quran say anywhere you're not prohibited to eat human meat? No, it doesn't. So how come you don't eat human meat? So where do you get this morality from that you don't eat human meat? If not from yourself, but if it's not in the Quran, how do you explain that? Can't.
Yeah, presumably, some of them will try and claim that everybody has an innate fitra. That's why we're all the same. Some people are denying it, but that's a falsifiable claim, and I think that has been falsified with people who don't believe in any sort of God. They simply believe in more of like fairy tales rather than a particular God, because that was the Muslim claim.
Yeah, well, they have this ancestor spirits, but not a God.
Yeah. But again, there's a difference between a God and Allah, right? Allah is a very specific God. So claiming that everybody has a God belief is a vacuous claim anyway. Exactly. You have to claim that everybody has a belief in Allah, and that's clearly not true. Throughout history, that hasn't been true. So forget about the general claim of a God. Because even if we granted that, well, who says that it's your God and not some other God, right? Why is it not the Christian God or some other God? Why does it have to be your God? even if there was, an innate belief in a God. So there's a long way to go. So, and they stop short because they can't go any further, but as if they've made a substantial argument, even if we granted it. Because I like to go, okay, let me grant you everything and see if it gets to the point that you want to get to. If it does, okay, then you've built the bridge there. But if I grant you everything that you're claiming and you still can't build the bridge, well, then, you just got no chance, because most of the time they never get to the end stage. So we had a chat, didn't we, on Discord last Friday. And some of the guys were of the view that, no, don't allow them any steps. And I'm like, well, we've heard all of the the initial steps that Muslims try and make, and they can't get anywhere. It's up against a brick wall. So I'm going like, okay, let me grant you all that. Let's see if the end part that you want to get to, therefore Allah exists, or therefore whatever. Let's see if that part, even that works. If I grant you everything that you claim, can you still get to the end point?
And
it depends on the argument.
Because I'm never 100% sure. Okay, what happens if yes? What happens? So I'm so scared of that. Oh, goodness. Okay. Oh, shit. I couldn't. Now the videos were so quick. So we spent a lot of time on
it's 5 to
hijab
10,
and Allah.
That's good.
Yeah, but I thought we're going to be a little bit late today because, now with the second video, I wasn't quite sure how we're going to end up with the time.
Maybe we need to do another, like a deconstruction video, especially one where Thunderous can hop in with the Dawah is easy.
I'm not that guy.
No, you don't do that. Okay.
I don't mind doing it for fun, but yeah, he is the lowest of the low-hanging fruit, really, for me. He's slimy.
Oh, well, we could always do the Shabir Yusuf as well, because he's
a lot of
also
talking.
slippery. But it's slippery in the sense that if you haven't watched or if you don't know what's going on, it's easy to sort of get sucked into it, and that's something to show people.
Now, Rob has made a very interesting suggestion, and that is that we compile a couple of these tactics and put them together. So, 2 questions to people watching. If you have a specific video that you want to be, on the show to be critiqued here, then give us the link. And the second thing is, if there is, and I've just remembered, I again forgot to look at the video from last week. And the second thing is, if you have a specific tactic that you see being used by a Muslim in a particular video, please let us know, because what we want to do is we want to collect a couple of these, put them all together and say, okay, here's the top 10 tactics used by Muslims. Here's the video, this is what he's doing, blah, 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 and so on. And put 10 of these together, which I like this idea very much.
The other thing we could do, make it interesting for the viewers, perhaps, Stops, is to do a quiz. The 3 of us can have a look at it, and maybe we'll have some different ideas, but we can do a quiz and say, okay, here we're going to do this now. And then afterwards, you guys write down in the comments, like clip 1 equals red herring, or clip 2 is straw man, or clip 3 is poisoning the well, or whatever it might be, to see if people can spot what it is that's going, what are the tactics being used. And I think that's quite educational and valuable, because there might be more than one tactic. One might stand out, but there might be other things going on as well. And that's a way to pick up on these sort of tactics that Muslim apologists and so forth use.
Also nice. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right, then we have one last thing, and that is the hadith. This one I chose. Hang on, let me just switch off my come. There we go, and put this on full. Now this is something that nobody understands, so maybe somebody can enlighten me. So this is narrated by Maimuna, who says the Prophet took a bath of janaba, which is the sexual relation or wet dream bath. Okay, I'll leave it up to you. I'm just reading this. So he first cleaned his private parts with his hand, and then rubbed that hand, on the wall and washed it. Then he performed ablution like that for the prayer, and after the bath he washed his feet. Now, ablution includes the feet, so I don't know why he performs ablution like for the prayer, and after then he washed his feet. I don't know. But okay, go for it. I want an explanation.
Am I missing something? It seems pretty straightforward. he had a wet dream or whatever the case is, and then
And
try
then?
to clean himself off.
And
Okay,
then, why did he
maybe
rub the hand on the wall?
Well, to get rid of the semen, I'm guessing. I don't know. Am I missing something? Come on, there's a bigger thing that I'm missing going. It's late at night, so I could be
Aha.
entirely missing
Okay, is
something.
it that easy? Am I overthinking this?
I don't know. What's your thoughts?
Well, this is the whole problem. I don't understand why, if you clean your private parts, okay, then you clean. But then you don't have anything on your hand because you just cleaned it. So why would you rub that hand on the wall? And
Well, the
if-
hand.
if you-
Well, you're cleaning your private parts, but that stuff that comes off there is on your hand, so that's why you'd rub it on the wall, presumably, or the ground, or whatever. I'm not sure why you wouldn't go and wash it immediately, but whatever, right?
And washed it.
Yeah.
I don't quite understand that, because if you're in the bath having a wash, your hands are going to be cleaning or getting cleansed as you're washing your private parts anyway. It's just a normal
Yes.
process. If you've got soap on your hands or you're using water to clean something, your hand is rubbing against that dirty area, and it's not like the dirt gets transferred to your hand because the water is diluting it and rinsing away. I don't quite
So
understand.
presumably all that happened was he didn't have water immediately, so rubbed it off with his hand. It was on his hand, rubbed that in the earth or whatever the case is, and then went to have a wash. I'm not sure why you want to rub it in the earth, but maybe there's some reason or other. Or
I'm not
going
sure.
straight to wash.
Why is it even a hadith? Why would Islamic sources have this? What's the relevance of this?
Yeah,
He had
that's
a wet
another
dream.
good point.
He spunked up in his pants while having a wet dream. While he got jizz all over his clothing and garments. He had to go and clean his testicles because of jizz. What on earth has that got to do with me today or any other Muslim today for that matter?
And look at the title of the chapter, the rubbing of hands with earth in order to clean them thoroughly, in order to clean them thoroughly. Why would you clean your hands with earth to clean them thoroughly?
Well, I'm not sure that you can clean your hands with earth thoroughly, right?
Exactly.
But then this is, I've noticed, I go back to that point of, the contrary thinking. Islam is kind of like a religion based on contrary thinking. You rub your hands in the dirt to make them clean. That's just contrary to logic. But then
Just a reminder. Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Just a reminder. We might pop onto Discord after this. There we go. Stops has just brought it up. There's the link for Discord. It's in the main chat if you want to come and say hello after the show. And I think Thunderous, if you had somebody you wanted to chat to, they could always do it there as well. So.
I said to him, I'll do it next week.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to go get a vodka.
Yeah. So yeah, it seems straightforward to me. Stops, although I don't think you can clean your hands on the earth anyway as thoroughly as you can with water and soap or water and something else. And I think again, that's a empirical claim. If what we mean by clean is to remove any, germs or anything on your hands that
Residual,
could make you
whatever, yeah.
unwell. There's different ways, and either the germs are still on there or they're not on there. Right? That's straightforward.
I thought this was weird.
Yeah, it's weird certainly to talk about it. Why would you bring that up? To show that he's human or whatever the case is? I'm not sure. It's like saying you change your underwear in the morning. How's that relevant?
It's very godly. He's been treated as a demigod in all of this. Well, the more and more you read little articles like this, the more you realise that these people, assuming he existed, just really took him for some kind of demigod. It was beyond being just a man where you have to write things like this down.
Yeah. And because we're getting to the end of the month next week, we need to think what we're going to do with the theme of the month. Or do we just continue doing this for the rest? Let's think about that. I don't know, because we still have a couple of topics like the language of Arabic, which we wanted to do as a theme, or Sharia or something like this. So we still have some things in petto that we could do. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm open to.
I mean, maybe people
suggestions.
in the chat can put a 1 if they'd like us to continue as part of the show ongoing in some way, either review a video or to critique a video of some sort, or a 2 if they're tired of that, and then we can kind of gauge from there. I like doing the critique, but it might be that other people are tired of it or don't want that.
I just realized also that we forgot the news. Palestinians calling themselves Barker Lightning Unit, one of several groups involved in floating fire balloons and kites into Israel. Now, the funny thing is they're constantly complaining that Israel is blocking the Gaza Strip, and they're blocking it because they are trying to stop people from getting weapons into Gaza. And they are smuggling whatever weapons into Gaza and then firing them off at Israel. So Israel is tightening the control. So, I don't understand what they're doing. Now they're floating fire balloons. In other words, like they're taking helium balloons, 5 or 6 at a time, putting grenades underneath and then launching them and then, releasing them over Israel. I don't know how they're supposed to think, well, this is going to help us get Israel to release the grip they have on Gaza to stop them from getting weapons in there. It's ludicrous. And then after just 1 month of the Hagia Sophia, the Turkish president on Friday ordered another Orthodox church that became a mosque and then an Istanbul museum to be turned back into a place of Muslim worship, the Karia Museum. Great. And Shia pilgrims gather in Iraq's Karbala, despite
As quick as
calls
possible, it sounds like.
to avoid gatherings at beginning of New Year, Muharram, because they are commemorating the death of Hussein in the Battle of Karbala in 680, which, due to the coronavirus, is not a good idea at the moment. So there you go.
Okay, we got a few ones in the
Got a
chat
few
there,
ones.
stops. So I think maybe we continue, at least it's in some way, doing video critiques.
All right, then is this a decision now? Have we decided we're going to continue with this until further notice, and you tell us when you're sick and tired of this and we do something else? Should we do it like that?
Seems fine to me, yeah. Let's bring something different.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
All right, guys, then people in the chat, you're wonderful, you're great. Thank you very much for being here with us. And thank you for all your questions and everything. Brilliant stuff. And to the panel members, Thunder Rob, thank you very much as always. Anything closing that you want to get off your chest?
No,
Thank
thanks
you,
very much.
everybody. Yeah, thank you, everybody. Thank you for being a part of the show. Thank you for being a part of the audience. And looking forward to being with you guys again next week.
And pop on Discord if we are going to pop on there for a short while if there's anything of interest. If not, then so be it. But we'll pop over. Well, I'll pop over there for a few minutes to see what's happening. On that note, good night. Thanks very much and see you next Friday.
Good night, everybody. Cheerio, bye.